Hey everyone, and welcome back. You know how much we love to dig into how people are using tech, and today we're talking about a group that sometimes gets overlooked in these conversations. Yeah, it's about, it's about seniors.
It really is fascinating how certain narratives take hold, right? Like
Yeah.
this idea that older adults are just technophobic, stuck in their ways.
Totally. And we actually got a bunch of you sending in this NETendances 2023 report, specifically focusing on connected seniors in Quebec. So we're doing a deep dive, and I'm kind of pumped to see what surprises come up.
Me too. This report's got some seriously granular data. It's not just broad strokes. It's like, here's how these folks are actually engaging with the digital world and...
And in Quebec.
Hmm.
I mean, is that a region we think of as a tech hub? Maybe not the first place that comes to mind, which makes this even more intriguing. But let's jump right into it, yeah. The first part of the report really breaks down digital literacy and how comfortable seniors feel with tech.
Yeah, how about this? 30% of these Quebec seniors consider their digital skills high.
Whoa, okay. I gotta admit, I was picturing that number being way lower. Like, good for them, seriously. But that's higher than I would guessed.
Right. It really challenges those assumptions, doesn't it? And what's really interesting is the report found that this sense of being skilled is directly tied to having a positive outlook on technology in general.
That makes sense. It's like anything else. When you feel capable, you feel better about it overall.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I first tried to use one of those, oh man, what were they called? Those little MP3 players way back in the day.
Yeah, I remember those. Trying to figure out how to load music on them was a whole thing.
Exactly. And it was frustrating. And I felt so, I don't know, behind the times. But once I figured it out, it was like this whole world opened up. So I totally get that connection between skills and a positive outlook.
But hold on, this isn't all sunshine and roses, right? Like, there's got to be more to the story when we're talking about such a big, diverse group of people.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Ah.
not a monolith, right? Even within the senior population, you've got tons of variation. Case in point, the report found that 65 to 74-year-olds were more likely to say they've got high digital skills compared to those 75 and up. Yeah, makes sense though, doesn't it? I mean, we're talking about folks who've lived through some massive technological shifts even within their lifetimes.
Exactly. And then you layer on location, which the report digs into as well. Turns out, if you're a senior living in Montreal, you're more likely to have home internet than seniors in other parts of Quebec.
Okay, so now we're getting into those digital equity questions, right? Like, just because someone's of a certain age doesn't mean their access is equal, and that impacts everything else. Urban versus rural, income disparities, it all ties into this.
It's complex, but you know what's not complex? This next stat that jumped out at me from the report, 82% of these Quebec seniors are using the internet every single day.
No way. Are you serious? 82%. Hold on, let me see that. Okay, yeah. Wow, that's huge. And it's not just a little blip either. The report says that's a 20-point jump from just a few years ago, back in 2019. So this isn't a fluke.
Not even a little bit. It really makes you rethink that whole narrative of seniors being left behind by technology, doesn't it? Because they're not just passively consuming either.
Yeah, what are they doing online all day? Because let's be real, email probably isn't filling up all those hours.
You're telling me. Although, funnily enough, email is still going strong with this group. 74% are using it, according to the report. But here's the thing.
Hit me with it, because I'm dying to know what's got them hooked on the internet.
It's more than just news, although 44% are checking that daily, which makes sense. But get this, 17% are watching free online videos every single day.
Whoa, hold on. So we're talking YouTube, streaming services, that kind of thing.
That's what it seems like. I mean, a few years ago, who would have predicted that grandma and grandpa would be settling in for their daily dose of, I don't know, cat videos or DIY tutorials? It's just not the image we had.
And online shopping. I bet that's a big one.
Yeah.
Everyone loves a good online deal.
It is, though it's actually down slightly from last year. But here's a fascinating tidbit. The report found that it's the seniors in the highest income bracket who are the most frequent online shoppers.
Huh, interesting. So it's not just about being tech savvy. It's also about having the resources to actually shop online, feeling secure enough with online transactions. Like you were saying earlier, digital equity is complicated.
And it's not just about accessing the internet, it's about what you can actually do once you're there. But let's get back to how these seniors are staying connected, because email is only part of the story, and frankly, it doesn't scream cutting edge.
Yeah, true. What about texting? I feel like that's how I stay in touch with everyone these days. Are seniors on board with that, or are they like still faxing each other.
Okay, first of all, ouch. You make me feel ancient. But secondly, no, they're totally embracing texting. In fact, the report says that a whopping 53% of these Quebec seniors are using text messaging now.
Whoa, really? That's way more than I would have thought. Are they sending emojis and GIFs and everything? I gotta know.
I don't know about all that, but think about it. That's a 10-point jump from just last year. So clearly something's clicking. It seems like they're really into that immediacy, that more casual, mobile-first way of connecting.
It's like they're not just adapting to technology, they're making it their own. Which brings me to video calls. That's another big one that's exploded in recent years. Are seniors joining those Zoom meetings and FaceTime chats?
Oh, absolutely. The report says 38% are using video calls, which honestly makes me happy. Remember all those concerns about technology isolating seniors? Well, this kind of throws that out the window, doesn't it? They're using it to bridge distances, especially with family and friends who might not be close by.
It's like they're proving everyone wrong, one video chat at a time.
Yeah.
But you know what else is interesting? This whole intersection of seniors, technology, and healthcare. That feels like a whole other layer to this conversation, and I bet this NETendances report has some insights on that too.
Oh, it definitely does. And it gets into some really interesting and honestly surprising trends that are challenging some of those assumptions we have about older adults and how they view healthcare in the digital age.
Because when I think of healthcare and tech, I think of like those symptom checker apps that everyone freaks out about. But I get the feeling we're talking about something way deeper here.
Oh, for sure. We're talking about seniors actually using the internet to take charge of their healthcare in ways we could only dream of a few years ago. For starters, the report says that 65% are already using the internet for healthcare tasks.
Wait, seriously, 65%? That seems like way higher than I would have expected.
Okay.
So we're not just talking about like refilling a prescription online or something. What are some examples? What are they actually doing?
Think more about those things that used to be such a hassle, like scheduling appointments online, no more phone hold music, accessing their medical records so they've got everything in one place, even ordering prescriptions. It's about convenience, yeah, but it's also about them being in the driver's seat when it comes to their own health.
That's actually really cool when you think about it that way. They're not just passively receiving care. They're actively managing it. But okay, I have to ask, because I know this is a big topic. What about telehealth? Because that just exploded during the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Are seniors like all over that?
Okay, so this is where things get interesting. While, yeah, telehealth has been this huge buzzword, and it's definitely growing across Canada in general, this report found some hesitancy among seniors, at least in Quebec.
Really? I'm actually surprised by that. You'd think the convenience of like not having to leave the house for a doctor's appointment would be a huge selling point.
You'd think. But the numbers don't lie. The report found that 60% of these Quebec seniors actually find telehealth less effective than in-person visits.
Wow. Okay. I did not see that coming. So it's not just a matter of access to the technology. There's something else going on there.
Yeah.
What's driving that preference for in-person care?
I think it speaks to that human element that's so crucial in healthcare, that face-to-face interaction, that sense of connection and trust you build with the doctor over time. And it's not just a hunch. The report specifically points to women and those 75 and older being even more likely to prefer those in-person visits.
Yeah. It's like that saying, people might not remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And I feel like that's especially true when it comes to healthcare, where it's so personal, so vulnerable. You want that human touch.
Absolutely. And let's be real, technology can't always replicate that, at least not yet. But while telehealth might be a slower adoption curve for some, what about health apps in general? Are seniors jumping on that bandwagon?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because those seem to be everywhere these days. You've got apps for tracking your steps, monitoring your sleep, managing your medications, even like meditating, you name it, there's an app for that. But are seniors actually using them?
Well, here's where it gets kind of curious. Because you'd think, with all the buzz around health apps, usage would be skyrocketing, right? But the report actually shows a dip in 2023. Only 18% of these Quebec seniors are currently using health apps.
Hold up. Did you say a dip? As in fewer seniors are using health apps now than before? I thought it'd be the opposite.
That's what I thought too. But yeah, it's down 9 percentage points from the previous year. So it seems like maybe the initial novelty of these apps is wearing off a bit. And the report suggests a few potential reasons for this.
Okay, I'm all ears. Because I'm genuinely curious now. Like, what's causing seniors to ditch their step trackers and calorie counters?
Well, for one, some seniors might find some of these apps just too complicated to use, not user-friendly enough. I mean, think about it. Not all apps are created equal. Right.
Yeah.
And even for us who are, relatively tech savvy, some of these apps can feel clunky, overwhelming. So I can only imagine.
No, totally. I've definitely downloaded my fair share of apps that ended up being way more trouble than they were worth. So I get that. But is it just a matter of usability, or is there something else at play here?
Right, because we can't underestimate that learning curve for a generation that didn't necessarily grow up with smartphones glued to their hands, right? But the report also brings up the issue of trust and privacy concerns, which, let's be real, those are valid concerns for anyone using these kinds of apps.
Especially when you're talking about something as personal as your health data. I mean, that's sensitive stuff. And seniors might be a little more wary of sharing that information online, especially if they're not as familiar with, like, data security measures and all that.
Exactly. And you've got to think about the historical context, too. I mean, a lot of seniors grew up in a time when privacy was highly valued and data breaches weren't even a thing people worried about. So it's a whole different mindset.
It's like that saying, you don't know what you don't know. But okay, so for the seniors who are using these apps, what are they most interested in tracking? Is it all about fitness and, like, counting steps?
Well, activity tracking is definitely up there. The report says 40% of senior app users are doing that. But we're also seeing a focus on other areas of well-being, too, like cardiovascular health is a big one, with 21% of app users tracking things like heart rate, blood pressure.
So they're really using these apps to take a more holistic approach to their health. That's pretty awesome. But it makes you wonder, are these apps actually making a difference? Like, are they actually helping seniors improve their health outcomes?
That is the million-dollar question, right? And thankfully, the report actually offers some encouraging insights. Get this. A solid 27% over a quarter of senior app users said that their health has actually improved because of using these apps, which, I mean, that's huge.
That is huge. It really speaks to the potential impact these tools can have when they're used effectively and, of course, when people feel comfortable using them. But it's not just about the individual user, right? I imagine this data could have pretty significant implications for the healthcare system as a whole.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, imagine a future where doctors have access to real-time data from their patients' health apps. We're talking about the potential for earlier interventions, more personalized treatment plans, a stronger patient-doctor partnership overall. I mean, the possibilities are kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It sounds like we're on the cusp of something really transformative. But of course, like with any new technology, there are always going to be some bumps in the road. Like, is that data sharing even happening on a large scale right now? Are doctors equipped to handle that influx of information?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. The potential is there, but the reality is a little more complicated. The report found that only 21% of seniors are frequently sharing their health app data with their doctors. So there's clearly a disconnect somewhere along the line.
Interesting. Okay, so what's causing that gap? Is it a matter of, like, seniors not knowing how to share the data, or maybe not trusting that it will be used responsibly, or are doctors just not equipped to handle it on their end?
It's probably a combination of factors, honestly. Some seniors might not be aware of the sharing features in their apps, or they might be hesitant to give up that control over their data. And yeah, then there's the question of whether doctors are even ready to receive and interpret all that data effectively.
It's like we're building the bridge and the road leading up to it at the same time, right? We need to make sure both sides are ready and willing to connect in this new digital world. But you know what's interesting? There's one more layer to this trust gap that I think is worth digging into, because the report found that there's one type of health app in particular that seems to be having a harder time gaining seniors' trust than others. Oh, really? Okay, now I need to know more. Which apps are we talking about? What's causing seniors to hit the uninstall button?
It seems like mental health apps in particular are facing a bit of an uphill battle when it comes to gaining traction among older adults. And the reasons why are actually pretty insightful, and I think they speak to some of the deeper complexities surrounding mental health, especially within the senior population.
Okay, yeah, now you've piqued my interest. Let's unpack that a bit.
Yeah.
Why are seniors hesitant to embrace mental health apps? Is it like a generational thing? Because it seems like younger people are all about using apps for everything, mental health included.
You know, it's really interesting because the report actually digs into that a little bit. And it's not so much that seniors are anti-app when it comes to mental health. It's more like there's this whole generational difference in how we even talk about mental health in the first place.
Okay, so you're saying it's more nuanced than just, oh, older people don't like apps. It's deeper than that.
Exactly. Think about it. A lot of seniors grew up in a time when mental health just wasn't discussed openly. It was stigmatized, hidden away.
Oh, totally. It was all like stiff upper lip and just get on with it. Not exactly the environment for like, download this app and track your anxiety.
Right. So there's already this barrier to even acknowledging those feelings, let alone sharing them with, well, anyone, let alone an app. And that ties into the other big thing the report highlights: trust. Like, how do you convince someone to share their deepest, most personal thoughts and feelings with an app, even if it promises anonymity, when they've been conditioned for decades to keep those things private?
It's like you're asking them to undo a lifetime of learned behavior.
Exactly. And then you add in the fact that, let's be real, technology can feel impersonal, clinical. And when you're talking about something as sensitive as mental health, that human connection, that empathy, it matters.
Totally. It makes me think of those therapy chatbots that have been popping up. Like, on one hand, it's great that there's more access to mental health support, but on the other hand, would you feel comfortable spilling your guts to a chatbot instead of a real live therapist?
It's a valid question. And for a lot of seniors, that face-to-face connection with a doctor, someone they've known for years, that holds a lot more weight than an algorithm, no matter how sophisticated it claims to be. They want that reassurance that there's a human on the other side who's really listening, who understands.
So it circles back to what we were talking about earlier. Digital equity. And not just about having access to technology, but about having equitable access to the support and resources you need to actually use it effectively.
Absolutely. Because what good is a mental health app if you don't feel comfortable using it, if you don't trust it with your most vulnerable self? Digital equity means meeting people where they are, understanding their unique needs and concerns.
So it's not about forcing everyone to become tech savvy overnight. It's about providing the education, the resources, that human connection to bridge that digital divide in a way that's respectful, inclusive, and empowering.
Exactly. It's about empowering everyone, regardless of age or background, to navigate this increasingly digital world in a way that feels safe, comfortable, and beneficial for them.
Well, I have to say, this deep dive has really opened my eyes. I feel like I had all these assumptions about seniors and technology, and this report, this conversation, has really challenged my perspective. It's not as simple as we often make it out to be.
That's the beauty of data, right? It has the power to challenge our assumptions, to reveal those nuances we might not have considered otherwise.
Absolutely. And to our listeners out there, we'd love to hear from you. Has this conversation shifted your perspective on older adults and technology?
Because we're all aging, and as technology continues to evolve at lightning speed, it's more important than ever to make sure it's designed with everyone in mind.
It's about creating a future where technology helps us live longer, healthier, more connected lives, regardless of age. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be the ones challenging those stereotypes about seniors and tech.
Here's to that. It's been such a pleasure exploring these fascinating trends with you.
And to our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. Keep those brains engaged, keep those conversations flowing, and we'll catch you in the next deep dive.